So today I am going to be talking about Lent, Lent, which is I'm not quite sure if it's a religious holiday. So please don't get at me in the chat if I say something wrong. This is just my learning. But I'm going to be talking about Lent and that concept of Lent when people say, "Oh, I'm giving up something for Lent," which is an idea. It's an idea that people do. It's somebody stating their intention. Okay, so they're stating their intention of I'm going to give something up for Lent. Now, if you don't know, Lent is 40 days long. Now we're actually a little bit into Lent at the moment because it's based around the Christian calendar, and those people who are Christians celebrate Easter, which is the death of Jesus on Good Friday, as we call it here in the UK, and then Easter Sunday, where Christians celebrate the raising from the dead from Jesus. That's what the holiday is about, and that's all the season's about, and that's what the celebration's about. And there's lots of different things that happen in the period, and there's also lots of different things that have been added to the period. So, for example, Easter eggs, where did they come from? That'd be interesting if you know where Easter eggs and the symbolization of what Easter eggs mean. Pop that in the chat. And then we have things like Ash Wednesday, which starts off the 40 days, etc. But I'm not going to get too much involved in the actual meaning of Lent and what it means for people. But it is a special time for people who celebrate that particular faith. So I'm interested in the concept of when people say, I'm giving up something for Lent. So I'm going to give up chocolates. I'm going to give up sweets. I'm going to give up using social media. Some people decide to do that. So I thought we'd just have a little discussion about giving up something. So, I like to do 5 things. I am going to do 5 things. And the number one thing I want to talk about is our use of language. So using the language giving up, I think that's a bit of a strong negative use. I'm giving up something, because we don't like to give up things, do we? We don't like to give up something. It's not sort of in our nature to give up something. So I wonder if you could start thinking about the language you use, about maybe you're making more positive steps, or you're making small changes that have positive steps. But when I looked at it online and had a look at what giving up, or put the word giving up into the internet, it came back with 42 different definitions or synonyms or whatever it's called, of giving up. Suffering, I've got them written here: self-discipline, temptation, surrender, remorse, loss, cease. All very emotionally charged words that we use. So I wonder if you are trying to limit something, or you're trying to make a positive step, or small steps too, try and use that in your language rather than the word giving up. And if we base a long psychological fact about that, we know that language creates action, it creates thoughts, it creates emotions, and if we make subtle changes in our language, it really has a profound effect. Now, you may have heard Michael Heppel or other people use, instead of saying problems, using the word challenge. And I've been doing that, and I've been doing that for a couple of years now. And for me, what happens is when I use the word challenge in my head, it makes a little switch. And the little switch turns me on and goes, okay, yeah, that's a challenge, rather than giving up. So tip number one is watch your language with regard to Lent and giving up. Number 2 then, what about barriers? Putting up some barriers to help you stop whatever you're trying to do. So, for example, if you are trying to reduce your chocolate intake, don't buy chocolate. I know it sounds so easy, that doesn't it? But don't buy those chalky biscuits. Don't load up that fridge. Don't load that fridge up of chalky biscuits. You need to get rid of those chalky biscuits. Now, here's an interesting thing. When you talk about giving up, people then go and say, right, I'm going to clear out my cupboards of all the things that I don't want to eat, or prevent it, or stop me eating. And then something happens. They say, but I've spent money on these things, so I don't want to waste them, so I must eat them. I can't eat them now, but I must eat them at another time. Or I'll eat them now or quickly, and that's what I'll do. Now, isn't that interesting? Because that's something called the sunk cost theory, where it's about what you've already invested in something that you feel you can't, get rid of. And also, there's a lot of belief about wastage, and there's a lot of belief about, you can hear people say, can't you? I don't know if you were younger, like I was younger. When I was younger, people used to say to me, well, the children in Africa can't have that, so you've got to eat all your food up. And it doesn't make sense, but that's what was said, and that was a belief from my childhood. I wonder if you have some childhood beliefs that perhaps people said to you about, loss and giving up and saving and all that type of stuff. What are those beliefs that you may have then? Think about that. So number 2 is really about barriers, and look at the barriers. So one of your barriers could be your beliefs around something. Also, think about people. There'll be some people in your life that are barriers to you achieving what you want to do. So those people who say, no, go on, have one more, or go on, just have a little bit, you'll be okay, start it tomorrow. Those helpful people who try and help you, and they're not really helpful. So what you might need to do is rehearse some things in your head that you're going to say to these people. Oh no, I'm stopping. Oh no, so watch your language again. I'm trying to be more healthy, so I'm not eating chocolate at the moment. Or thanks for your offer. However, I'm not a person now who smokes cigarettes. Something like that. Now, we could do a whole training and a whole session on this, but we're not going to. But what I'm trying to get you to think in number 2 success strategy is barriers. Putting up barriers to reduce whatever you're trying to reduce. So, don't buy things, make it harder. I know a friend of mine who tried to, and he did, give up popcorn. He was into the, popcorn and toffee popcorn. And what he did, he put all the popcorn, because he couldn't throw it away or move it away, he put all the popcorn in the garage. So he had to put a separate step of going out the house, getting the keys, going to get popcorn, and in the end he stopped eating popcorn because he put a big barrier in the way. I also have a friend who froze, and I do mean froze as in put in ice, her credit card. So what she did was she got her credit card and she put it in a bowl of water and put it in the freezer, and it froze. And the reason why she did this is to stop shopping online or on the TV at that time. It was the TV channels. Might be extreme, but it's a good idea of putting barriers up for number 2. So number 3 then. Number 3 is that one that we don't do enough of. Ask for help. Ask for people who can support you. Ask for people who are around you that may help you with your Lent challenge. Why not say to them, I'm doing a challenge? Now, I know I've been involved in a 28-day challenge recently, and people felt proud to say, I'm doing a challenge. And some people were doing some quite challenging and possibly difficult things, but they use the word challenge. So why don't, for number 3, ask for people's help. Ask for them to support you, to conspire to your success. I love that when people say that. I'm going to conspire to your success. Get people to conspire to your success. Ask maybe for what skills you need and what behaviors you need. Also, how have they done it? Find someone that's done what you're trying to do and model their behaviors and their beliefs and their attitudes. So that's number 3, ask for help. Number 4 is to replace the vacuum. Now, what happens when we give up something, right? There's a vacuum. There's something that's not left. And you know what a vacuum is, don't you? You take air out of a space. There's still a space left that you can put something in. And sometimes people who will give up smoking will put back into that vacuum another unhealthy habit. So, for example, eating. And people talk about they put on lots of weight when they stop smoking. So think about what you can put into your healthy vacuum. So if you are reducing chocolate, what are you going to replace it with? maybe a herbal tea. And again, I'm not a nutritionalist, and don't profess to be, but if you know that there's something you can do instead, for example, drinking water, if you know you can replace that, if you can fill your vacuum with drinking a clean big glass of water rather than doing something that you normally would do, then think about that vacuum. Think about what you're going to replace. It might be just as simple as getting up and walking and having a walk around. If you're trying to reduce your social media, well, just when you go to your social media, maybe go for a quick walk. Go and do something else instead. And that goes back to what I was saying before. Think about the strategies beforehand before you start trying to give something up. So number four is replacing the vacuum. So, and my last thing is number five. Number five is, what could you do instead? So rather than giving up, what could you start? What could you start in the 40-day period and build up a habit, a routine, a pastime? Could you start some art? We've got some people in the group who are starting their art. You could maybe learn to cook something new and different and healthy. Maybe you could learn a new word each day. So consider this for number five. What could you learn? What could you do? Something that's entrepreneurial. Doesn't have to be making money. It could be about helping. It could be about volunteering. What could you learn? A new habit, a new pastime, a new skill. And also, what could you do to take some time out? Some time out, perhaps, that that you don't do now. Maybe that's something that you could start in Lent rather than giving it up. So, and that spells something, if you were really, really listening carefully. L, learning something. E, entrepreneurial. N, new skill, new pastime. And T, time out, spells Lent. Look at that, eh? You'd think I'd planned this, wouldn't you? Anyway, that's me done.